And welcome back, everybody. It is all tied up at 1-1, and you know what that means. We are going to have ourselves a third game here in the first playoff game of the PCS summer. I am still Pyra, he is still Clement, and our sponsors, they haven't changed either, funnily enough. They're CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber. And Clement, I feel like we've seen the strengths and the weaknesses of both these squads, and now they know each other a little bit better. We'll have to see who takes it in game number 3.
Yeah, exactly. And I think throughout this series, Blue Side has won both of their games. We have seen Blue Side just be able to dictate the draft a little bit more. You get to pick your first 3 champions, set the pace for what you want to play and how the enemy team has to respond to you. And Holo is going to be coming back onto the roster as the starter. So I think this is a great thing for the youngster. He could be just taking the starter position completely. Alex, to me, had a very quiet game too. Just forced things way too much. And didn't really wait for his mid laner or Wako to come in and try to impact with the ultimates here. Boom Esports with the higher seed is going to go on to the blue side. So, you know, I think they have a very strong chance of just sneaking away a draft win here. And I do expect them to pick for something later. The 2 picks I'm really thinking about are things like the Gwen and also things like the Ziggs, which do set the pace for a later scaling game.
I do think the Gwen has been conspicuously absent in these games. Still one of the highest win rate champions in the PCS, but has been less and less prioritized over the more recent weeks in the summer split. But a lot to see that changes. Rocky, you know, has been a champion. He's certainly favored up in that top side. Less so has it been one of those off jungle choices that some of the PCS teams have liked. You know, and talking about Rocky too, I feel like giving him a champion that he can step up and carry on is certainly a weapon that Boom can really utilize. I like when Rocky gets ahead in these games because he's a player who he loves to go for the 1v1, he loves to go for the duel, but this split, he's been able to kind of just back up that aggression with pure results.
Yeah, he has been, in my eyes, the most improved player throughout the entire 2 splits. I felt like Rocky actually had a very weak start in spring, but through summer, I feel like the communication was a lot better. And top lane really is about your coordination with your jungler. J-Team, I expect them to ban the Ziggs. Okay, no problem there. I'd be very surprised if they left that open. And for Boom Esports, it's either a Diana start or most likely something like,
Something very different. Holo's going to go for the Lee Sin pickup early. Okay.
This has been the most picked champion on the patch in the LPL, and you do still see a lot of Diana comps go with it. So we'll see if they go into that, but for the most part, Ruby does not play the Lee Sin, and that's why I'm a little bit worried about just a Lee Sin early pick. On its own, it's not really that worth it as a B1.
Yeah, J-Team going to go back to the Aphelios pickup, but this time it's just going to get picked right away. The Thresh is open if they want to grab it. And, you know, it's still a strong bottom lane despite the fact that Boom really drafted a comp designed to just blow it up.
Yeah, this time they don't really have the tools to do so again, so I would love if they just go with the same comp again. J-Team are going to leave a little bit of a trap here for Boom Esports, force them to take away the Thresh when they may not want to necessarily. I still feel like Pop is fine with the Thresh, to be absolutely honest. And this is where we see where this Lee Sin actually goes. Ruby has played, I believe, he has played 12 different champions. He has one of the largest champion pools in the PCS, but Lee Sin has not been one of them, and it is not going to start now. So just going back for the Azir, getting a little bit of late game in hand, and shaping up for more of a poke composition on Boom Esports side.
Yeah, I like it. I think it could work certainly wonders for them, but because they don't opt into that Thresh, it should fall into the hands of J-Team. I was going to mention if Pop did actually opt to pick it up, but he hasn't actually lost on that champion. But, you know, on the J-Team side, we'll see if Woody prioritizes the lanterns a little more than the hooks this time around. Leona going to be banned away. Of course, that has been such a high-value champion for so many of these supports in the league. It means it's going to fall a little bit further down for Pop. I think we could see something like the Alistair maybe coming in, although if they really want to go for poke, you know, there are a couple of interesting options in that bottom side we haven't seen out of some of these supports. Maybe it's now time to pull out an unusual
They're going
champion.
for Gwen. I'm sorry, poke is not going to be on the table. They're banning Jace. It's pretty clear to me. They're just like, okay, it's Gwen time.
Oh, well. I mean, I like Rocky on Gwen. It's a fun champion, and it's fun to see him play it. He really has improved a lot this split.
I do like going for more like a late game scaling comp than just going for straight poke. Poke comps are pretty easy to just nail down if the enemy team has a lot of strong engaged champions, which, to be fair, J-Team doesn't have right now. But J-Team, I feel like their position is so incredibly strong at this point. They have the best bot lane in the game. They have a good tempo jungler, and they also have counter picks against both mid and top. So Boom Esports, because of their lack of flex picking on this patch, I really feel like they've dug themselves into a bit of a hole. Victor is fine early. Don't love the pick. It's a little bit weak with the Trundle pairing, but yeah, it still has priority.
Yeah, we'll see if Mission is able to make do on this champion. I think we've seen he's able to pop off when he gets quite a lot of kills early on. If they do have Hana making visits into that mid lane, a little hard to gank in his ear, but Ruby has had some positioning errors this time around. Boom, let's see what they follow up with. The Braum, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking might follow through here. It can prevent a little bit of the damage and up towards the top. Rocky is actually going to prioritize the Camille as a blind pickup.
Okay, the Renekton is off the table, so usually it's the Fiora pick, which conspicuously Rest has not gone for. And also this one. This one is much more of the J-Team style, where you do have terrain control, you have range control, global pressure. And again, I hate saying this, but J-Team do function quite well on do-nothing comps, where they just sit in their lanes and scale and force you to engage on them. And that's going to be the answer.
Yeah, Gameplank's pretty good at that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say I heavily favor J-Team's composition. I feel like just the way the draft panned out, where J-Team has, if you think about it, they counter the jungle, they counter the mid lane, they counter the top lane, and for the bot lane, they just have the best combo ever. So in terms of raw power and interactions, J-Team just hard wins out on Boom Esports, where I feel like Boom Esports, their only chance of success is that very late into, like, I don't even think they scale better necessarily. So
yeah, it's hard to say, but like J-Team late game, I mean, that is a J-Team, or excuse me, Boom, that is a Boom composition for them. I think J-Team, you're right, they have a lot of tools. They have really solid pickups, and maybe we'll see the first Red side win this series.
Yeah, definitely is the case here. Throughout this season, I've actually really liked Red side, especially for a lot of our lower tier teams, where their problem has mainly been the laning phase. We talk about Berjaya, we talk about Liab, or Impunity. Most of these guys' wins did come out of the Red side because they're able to get laning matchups. This series has been very irregular for PCS standards, but I think we're returning to the norm this time around. I don't see it. I really don't see how Boom Esports come out ahead with this draft. They lose priority. They have a little bit of priority early on with the Azir versus Victor matchup, and that's just a little bit, and it really dissipates after level 6. And if you look at the 5v5, it's Boom Esports that kind of has to go in. Like, they do have some poke, but it's not really that lethal. There's only one person throwing out the poke at the end. Yeah, I just don't really see a win condition.
Well, we'll see if Boom are able to provide us with one, or if J-Team are going to close out that series 2-1. And Clement, of us three casters, you, me, and Nightstar, you were the only one to pick J-Team to go over Boom, so maybe you will be the big brain after the end of the series.
You guys actually picked Liab to 2-0.
Yeah, we did, man. We got that hopium.
Okay, that was
we'll
the funniest.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. We're still in Boom.
All right, I'm sorry, but that made such huge waves on the Taiwanese forums. They were like, look at the English casters. They're literally like honorary Filipinos, and they're going full copium. Let's go.
Hey, man, I was impressed by Liam. I was.
Okay, I hope you guys
honestly,
actually...
don't call me an analyst, though. I mean, everybody knows I'm the Yelly Man.
The yelling man you are. We're going to take a look at the runes right here. So just to point out, it is going to be grass for the top lane, and also bringing in a knight into this matchup, which is I find pretty interesting for this one. Usually it's not that feasible to get a kill onto Gangplank. It is more of a later game matchup where you can actually win the match. You can win later on, but not really early. So typically it's still the flash being brought here. We'll see how Rocky can use his Ignite to his advantage to actually find the kills.
Yeah, I think this signals that Rocky really does want to get aggressive. All right, we are going to have an early game pause, but looking at it across the board, I think this isn't going to be like the first games where it was a little bit more of a slow start. I think Boom are going to try to be bringing it, but as you mentioned, J-Team, they have really solid lanes across the board, so going back to Holo, he picks this Lee Sin as a champion that can really get involved early on. Which lanes do you really think he pays visits to?
And that was the other part I was looking at where, Camille doesn't have a flash, so you can't really flash a hookshot and flash to catch up onto the gangplank. And in the other lanes, there really is no crowd control. So, yeah, I feel like this is a level 6 Lee Sin. It's a Dragon's Rage Lee Sin, unfortunately.
Maybe mid lane, right? Try to snowball Ruby on the Azir. I mean, you got the Shreema Shuffle. That's always a possibility.
Yeah, you don't get that until 6, though. So I think it's really limited what he can do. You can shove in the Victor early on, though. So maybe they can get some wards down into the enemy jungle. But even if they find a Trundle, like, Lee Sin does not win the 1v1 versus a Trundle. And this time the Trundle is a PTA Trundle. So even fewer chances for that to really happen. I don't know. Like, they do have a little bit of range advantage. We'll give Boom Esports that. Maybe they can play around that to force J-Team to actually be the aggressor, which puts him on a much weaker position. But other than that, don't really see it. What I see happening is J-Team is just going to scale to a point where they're very comfortable taking the team fight just front to back. They're going to use Gravitum, which has 1100 range, open up on that, and just snowball the team fight from there. That's my prediction.
Well, and that's the game plan, right? I mean, I think that should be obvious about the teams in this particular instance. But yeah, J-Team, I think they really did a good job of like picking themselves up after that first loss because it just nothing went right. They didn't seem to have an idea of what they wanted to do with their comp. And then game 2, whether you say Boom, ran straight for them or J-Team kind of baited them early on in the aggression, it very clearly snowballed out of control. And I think J-Team, it just shows when they're in control of the game, they look just so good, so smooth, so clean. And even when they like kind of scuff up a couple of fights, they can clean up when they're far enough ahead. And I feel like this comp definitely has a lot of the makings of that. So I wonder what Boom are going to try to do differently this time, or if, they'll end up making the same mistakes. If that Lee Sin does go into lanes early, maybe that throws off the likes of J-Team because it isn't a super optimal strategy. Sometimes you can put your opponent on the back foot when they're not expecting it.
Yeah, I feel like for me, Boom Esports, they don't need to rush things so hard. In terms of the later phase of the game, they still have pretty good catch potential compared to what J-Team have. So I would say just try not to rush it early game. That has been the biggest downfall. And I think we're still fine into the game. Just some rejoining coming back.
Everybody's back in. Okay. Pay no attention to the disconnect. Signs everybody's still playing this one.
Take a look at the matchups across the board. Pretty difficult for Camille early on. We have seen this matchup just go terribly awry. And you do have to dodge out those trials by fire. A lot of times Gangplank can just auto-attack you to death and try to trade before you get the adaptive shields off. And we can see Camille is getting pushed in earlier on. For the bottom lane, a lot of times Ophelio still comes out okay in this lane. And J-Team also, I believe, did leash for their jungle. So we do have Boom Esports actually pushing in this time around. This matchup usually goes in favor of Varus post the Serrated Dirk, but not really before that. So it should be pretty quiet earlier on from Boom Esports.
Yeah, we have seen some aggression. Ooh, as Woody goes fishing with the hook that time, doesn't quite land on where he was looking, but would have likely just been a little bit of both. Ruby getting a level advantage in mid lane early. I wonder if he can do anything with it. Probably not, as the wave's just going to crash anyways.
Victor's just a very slow champion before he gets the Empowered Death Ray. So he's just going to have to wait and farm up until he gets 100 stacks on that one. Meanwhile, Hana might be paying a visit early.
Oh, yeah. Well, not going to be able to shift out of that pillar. Here comes the Frozen Domain, popping him up, and Ruby is going to be just fine. Watching Ruby in the lane is always a bit of a coin flip, I feel, especially in the early stages of the split. We saw him kind of go in on some plays that maybe were a little bit ill-advised, and J-Team were looking to always take advantage of positioning.
I do actually like that play a lot from Hana. He's just attacking the mana pool coming in from Ruby, making sure he can't wave clear that far against Mission, and he has the extra time to do so. The great thing about this patch compared to Spring Split is it's not as much of a full clear meta. Junglers do have that 15-second extra window now before camps do respawn compared to Spring. You can't just roam around, apply a little bit of pressure, but otherwise, like, all the lanes are just pretty steady at this point, and we're just waiting for things to happen. Like, for me, J-Team don't even need to do anything. J-Team are
That's why,
perfectly
that's why it's called a do nothing comp, right?
Yeah. This is quintessential J-Team. Exactly
we're
where they
painting
want
a picture, you know, like it's a slow. Think about this less of a League of Legends game and more of like a Bob Ross special, right? We're just gonna do some happy little farming. We're just going to watch some happy jungle clears, and we don't make mistakes. Just happy little accidents like missing a Q.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you just let the paintbrush do the job for you. A little bit of dabble of color here, a little bit there. Yeah, you don't have to get a rise in your emotions whatsoever. J-Team kind of are like that iceberg that just waits for ships to crash into it, and that's really how they win a lot of their games.
Oh dear. I've not heard that metaphor before, but it's disturbing how apt it actually is.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just about other teams changing course against them. I feel like against J-Team, you always want some sort of catch potential. That does get you through a lot of their late game comps.
All right, he actually sends a lot of damage back onto Hana, but you know, I think this is Boom just like they're just sniffing for something, but they're not going to be able to find the big plays until like that level 6 mark, like you're talking about. I do like that they're looking and they're not really getting hard punished for it, especially because up top, you want to get Rocky ahead up against this Gangplank because it's going to be hard.
Bro, J-Team just play at my grandma's tempo, very very slow.
What's your grandma's APM, Clement?
Oh, geez. When she's cooking, probably over 200.
That's insane, actually.
Yeah, like she's very traditional. So she kills her own fish, kills her own protein most of the time.
Wow.
Outside of the pigs and the cows, but like, definitely for the ducks and chickens, she can do that.
You're gonna have me over one day, man. Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
watch it.
When I was small, just coming back from the States, I was really surprised about, my grandma having this big cleaver and blood all over her apron and stuff like that. So it's like, oh,
that
we're
might be a
not
little
used
terrifying,
to that.
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, people really were used to a lot more brutality earlier on in the century. That's a huge difference I found. Like modern, like as the generations go through, we really are desensitized. Not really desensitized, but we're much more sensitive to violence. Outside of League of Legends, of course, we can take copious amounts of violence from League.
I mean,
but
this
not
is not
in
a game
way.
with copious amounts of violence, right? This is a chill game. This is that modern sensibility League of Legends. It's all,
people bleed ink in this game, so that's fine.
Exactly. What? Oh no! Well, the stalemate's been broken, I'm afraid, Clement. Pop is going to get caught. He has forced to burn his flash to get away. Nice little roam there, or Hana getting in range to make the play. Rocky sidestepping on the barrel. He's playing good on the positioning. Look at Ruby and Holo now. They're setting up for a dive.
Okay, Russ is still very high HP, though.
It's going to be the push-up, and Cannon Barrage with the flash actually full denying. Ruby taking 2 shots, and Holo couldn't actually get in there. This is a great defense. Opening up J-Team to go for the Mountain Dragon down bottom.
Yeah, I didn't think that play was gonna work. Again, without the flash, it's hard to lock Rest down with the hook shot, and they weren't willing to sink the Hextech ultimatum into that play, so it just doesn't work out very well. A 3-man stack that does nothing, and look at Nishan, he's so happy about this play. He gets 1 play and is likely to get 2.
Yeah, hey, free farm. This is... Yeah, I mean, the Victor was being set behind earlier on, but Ruby goes on this big roaming spree, gets absolutely nothing for it. I like that Boom try, that they're always proactive, but I feel like they telegraph a little bit here, and as you mentioned, it's so hard to set that up because Rocky goes for the Ignite, which, by the way, he has not used in 8 minutes, so, question mark ping.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that decision. I feel like if you're trying to rely on catch, the Ignite is still more important. I would be happy to fall behind in laning phase. Like, it's kind of hard to get ahead of a game point early on, so kind of interesting decision here. And that play, Rest still had his remove Scurvy, he still had Flash, and he had 2 biscuits that most of the times in terms of like the time work tonic do provide instant healing. So I didn't really see any chance for that to really work out, and kind of surprised it sunk that many resources into it.
It's kind of funny that Gangplank gets like this full rework visual and everything, some years back, and they decided to just leave Remove Scurvy, like, named that very awkwardly.
Oh,
I really feel like
the
the rework team needs... Yeah, but it's just such a weird phrasing, like, remove Scurvy... Yes, it's an orange. You don't have Scurvy... Well, it's not more removing, it's more prevent Scurvy. It's also a misnomer, Riot needs to get their historical accuracy correct. I'm disappointed.
All right, well, we'll see if they go for more realistic champion namings, but so far this is a bit of a force from Boom Esports, and if Lil V, oh, he's got the perfect guns for this as well. He already has made up the gold loss on the Herald on an Aphelios, so I think J-Team are completely fine with this. Again, do nothing is the mantra of this comp.
Well, do nothing to push towers because they're just finding completely open ones, and they're getting plates on plates on plates. This is going to start to accelerate the gold game for them. They already found themselves 400 ahead without any first blood. The Dragon advantage as well, and yeah, I mean, this is exactly the type of game J-Team like to play. It's I don't want to call it League of Legends by the numbers. It's League of Legends paint by numbers. It just feels so easy.
Yeah, I gotta say, though, this is why I feel like J-Team has had trouble with the top teams, because top teams, they will try to bust your composition open. The Beyond Gamings, the Machis of this world, they know how to play against what J-Team is throwing at them. They know how to play explosively, and they do set up for a lot more turret dives in terms of just the drafts. Boom Esports, not really that sort of a team. We're happy to just scale alongside them, and you know, anything could happen here as, oh, that was ugly. But
yeah, mission just faster on the flash. I mean, I suppose Boom could try to make a Herald play anyways if he has to back, but this is like, a Victor can wave clear pretty crazily too. Like, he's no Ziggs, but still. Ooh, that's a box play. Pop might be caught here. I wonder if Wako has enough left to actually help find the answer. With the exhaust on the Aphelios, he burns everything to get out of there. This will be the Herald play down mid, but now the Chaos Storm's coming out, zoning Holo and Ruby away. Hana has come to the rescue. I think Boom weren't really expecting the counterplay there.
No, I think that was, you know, they definitely expected Trundle to show up. We have a big trade from Wako.
Yeah, Lil V, they're finding the damage on him right now, and oh, Wako! That's going to be Woody, the last of his mana, able to stop this from happening. We're going to tag ourselves back up into the mid. A little tense right here as Boomer trying to find an advantage anywhere they can. Ruby just getting... Oh my goodness, the tag back from Holo. Like, he missed the memo. He was on the ticket. Oh, no! And he even burned the flash. Oh, you hate to see it.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that was so casual from Ruby. It's like, I guess it's casual Thursdays. I'm gonna stay around. There's nothing Trundle can do against me, right? Like, I really just don't know what he expected right there to happen. That was
the troll respects no authority, least of all Shurima.
Like, he didn't even get an extra plate for that. Like, what is he trying to do there? Oh, I think Boom Esports are just kind of. I feel like they're losing their minds because of the boredom.
Oh no. That's one way to go mental, Boom, unfortunately. 12 minutes in. Edge for J-Team here. First blood, first dragon. A lot of plates. It's a good counter strategy. For a team that likes to fight, that likes to play interactive League of Legends, you just starve them of any opportunity to do so. It's a strategy.
Like, Boom Esports is, we'll take any fight, please. Please just show up outside of your lanes. Can we shake on this? J-Team was like, nah, I prefer to scale up. PV's the name.
We'll see you in 30 minutes, you know, just keep farming.
Yeah, a good find by Wako, though. I think it does open up some opportunities for 4v2 in the bot lane. He did get an extra flash out of the side of Lil V.
Woody and Hunter are coming, though. They might be able to contest this. They're actually going to bring everyone from Boom to the party as they're going to try to bait this one out. Ruby was looking for that pushback. He doesn't find it. However, he doesn't expend anything more than the ultimate for the Dragon secure, so Boom at least get that for themselves.
That was so sad, because it makes it really unworth it for Rocky to join this fight. He comes down, doesn't get an assist, and Rest gets rewarded 320 gold for that. So, they really needed the flash on Ruby in that play. It just goes to show you that sometimes, you know, the thing about tempo is if you miss one chain in the sequence, then you can miss out on thousands of gold of snowball potential.
And Rocky still hasn't used that Ignite either. I'm going to keep pointing that out because he takes the Summoner for the play, does not use it. The Flash would have come in handy at least twice already.
So the theory for Ignites in Camille matchups, Camille usually takes it against hard matchups. And it's more of a protective Ignite. It's essentially kind of a, how should I call it? It's kind of like a barrier that deals damage instead. So it's just kind of a solo stat. So you don't really expect the Ignite to come out. Yeah, exactly. But I still would have preferred the flash, like, against a slow
Well,
team.
they're playing
There we
aggressive,
go.
that's the thing. Maybe we finally get it here as Holo goes around the side. Rest is not getting out of this one. Hextech Ultimatum will ensure that. So, yeah, there we go. Finally getting that one. Brings Holo up there, and this will open up a push opportunity top. Plates have fallen already, unfortunately, though.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get much gold, or any gold here at all, but at least they do get Camille ahead, and this is quite important. If Camille can get it ahead of the curve, she will be able to split push against the game playing, and it's very important for her to get her sustained items, especially the Divine Sunders. That helps a lot in that matchup. So, you know, it's still a good find for them, and there's nothing much happening on the table here. What I'm really interested about is the oncoming Baron. This is one of those Barons where I feel like if you're a J team, you can actually start pretty early on. Like, Boom have to walk into you, and you have such great terrain control. You have a pillar for a ramp, you have cannon barrage and the box and all of that stuff, so don't be too surprised if J team just decide to, you know, after 20 games of doing 20 minutes of doing absolutely nothing, suddenly just turn around and do an early Baron.
Yeah, I think they certainly have the tools to make it happen. Also, item advantage is starting to stack up, as you talked about. Mythics, Divine Sunders, J-Team, when we get back to the items, we'll take a look at them once again. But Boom are just, they're fishing for opportunities. They've found very little so far, and we'll see if they're able to open it up a little bit more. As a result, or as a reminder, the loser of this game will fall down into the lower bracket. They won't be eliminated from playoffs just yet, but they will be facing off against Liab. And I think calculus changes a little bit depending on if it's J-Team or if it's Boom.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in that one. Frankly, I don't see Liab having a great matchup against either here, but that's a tale for another day. And we do see J-Team just trading away the resources here. I do like this play coming in from J-Team. I feel like on their side, keeping Camille down is far more important than keeping Aphelios ahead. Like, Aphelios will get to that point anyway. It's just a matter of time, but the tempo and the speed which Rocky develops is quite consequential in terms of side lane pressure, so this trade's completely fine for them. They do have the Herald, and they should just be able to take down the mid lane as well, so it does end up being a bit of a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, J-Team, they're just ahead enough, and you know, having the Herald really helps them be able to accomplish this goal. In fact, they've actually brought Woody and Mission here to do it, but he's just going to peck away as Herald will take out mid, and not much else they can get on the map at the moment. Still going to be another minute and 10 before the Cloud Dragon spawns, but J-Team, you know, they're just sticking to the game plan. Ooh, Mission does get interrupted, but about all Boom can do right now is just kind of harangue them a bit.
I feel like we're just slowly drifting on into the future where a ponderous and inevitable Aphelios is going to come in and just start taking over the game. You really see the makings of that in this one. Super slow, 2 kills at 17 minutes. You know, the usual kill per minute in the PCS is actually 1 kill a minute. We're one of the fastest leagues.
Oh, yes we are.
Nothing's
but
gonna
this
happen.
game certainly.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
Now it starts to open up. See what happens, Clement. You talk about how calm and chill it is, and then Boomer like, oh, is it? Well, alrighty then.
I'm so sorry, Holo. I should never have doubted you. Great pick 4 drop right there. I thought
that was a sick combo. And this is actually going to open up the Dragon opportunity, too. This will interrupt J-Team's solo opportunity a little bit. As they have full control on the map, they can just have Holo solo it out.
True.
Well, maybe not.
I don't think J-Team really want to contest this. They're pretty happy just pushing down onto the second-tier tower. Taking this fight is a little bit suspect to me. You're going into enemy vision at this point.
Ooh, wait a minute. J-Team are going to contest. Well, hold on. Maybe this could work out for Boom, as they do have Ruby around the side. Does reveal himself. Gotta be a little careful there. Dragon gonna reset. And yeah, J-Team do the smart thing. They just retreat up ramp. And honestly, not much of an opening for Boom to have really done much anyways.
Oh, they get the blue buff.
Wako wins the moral fight.
Yeah.
That's it. Pack it in. Game's over. J-Team tilted.
Well, look at how much poke J-Team are taking because of this.
Oh, Rocky pushing forward. No, the Lantern's there. Oh, the Hextech Ultimatum. Rocky gonna go for a Chaos Storm, though. Looking to cut him down, and he goes deep. Rocky gets out. Now there's the Cannon Barrage. Look at how low Mission fell, but he still walks out alive. It's a 1 for none so far, but the fight is, or the posturing is still happening.
Honestly, Boom Esports could have just taken an uncontested Drake, but they're going way too deep on Ruby's end, and now Rocky's caught in no man's land.
Oh no. Oh no, it's just a series of unfortunate events right now.
Yeah. I feel like Boom Esports were too desperate to get the team fight going. It was completely unnecessary. They already won the poke war. Like, J-Team had to back out. They could not rush into the river again through those chokes. Now, just take a look at the HP bars right here. Hana's going low. Woody's about half HP. There's really no need to rush into this one. Just go for the Drake, man.
This is what you're talking about, though. Like, this team is so eager to go for the play, and unfortunately, Rocky's timing could not have been worse on that Hextech ultimatum. Ruby follows him in and baits himself. And yeah, this is the point where you need
Rocky
to leave.
baited him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like Ruby doesn't need an excuse.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of self-inflicted pain going over from both teams at this point. It's just like, I'm not sure why J-Team tried to contest at that angle. Boom Esports should have just full committed to the Drake. They didn't, so that's not off the table at this point. I will say this game is a lot closer than I thought it would. I just thought that Aphelios was going to be able to wipe the table with these guys, but he's really not at the item break point just yet, so Boom Esports still have a couple of chances coming into the next team fights.
I like how Pop, like, he didn't have vision of that. So either he had a good enough game sense and just dodged fast on the hook, or he just completely, like, decided to turn at the right moment and just like, oh, yes, calculated.
Okay,
those little microtransactions are fun.
I want to tell you, as a hobbyist play-by-play, I always try to sell that as, like, just Pop's genius mind, you know, his Korean instincts, and, oh, Ruby.
Oh, that's going to be a little bit of pinballing. Actually, Holo did not want that, but Ruby did. The cannon barrage coming in. Ruby trying to limp away, but there's no tower. Would he bring Lil V? And yeah, he's a dead man. Oh, Holo trying to two-step himself, but he goes straight into the box. Unfortunately, the rest of the team has arrived to clean him up. And J-Team, wouldn't you know it, we're in for the 21-minute Barrett, Clement.
Oh, this game is so unpredictable. Oh my god. That's pretty hilarious for Boom Esports. Like, this, let's be honest, we've seen like this from Ruby quite a bit. We just call this the Ruby play, where he just goes into silent and just dies for nothing.
He wanted the Shurima shuffle, and then Holo's like, no, get out of here.
Yeah, he was stuck so long between the pillar, and he was just like, nah, this is so comfortable. I'm actually going to stay here. He doesn't even attempt to flash out early. He didn't have to flash, to be honest. But it's just so costly, and they don't get much from it. Like what is Ruby doing here? Look at this play, how slow this play is actually developing. He could have just used the ult much earlier on, stop that entire thing from happening. Holo wouldn't have been able to stay around, but like, they just overstay their welcome on this one. And for what? Like, top lane tower, it doesn't even matter at this point. So, again, I feel like Ruby is just... I think he's trying to play for tempo when they're really not that far behind. Like, they still have a chance in terms of just straight-up team fights. So, not sure why that was dedicated. Even though they get 2 towers, it's not really worth giving J-Team the Baron at this point.
Yeah, so up until this point, it did feel like it was still, you know, an inexplicably kind of close game, but that started to change. The gold leads opened up a little bit more. Boom have been able to at least open the map with those towers, but they got to contend with the Baron buff, and that's going to be hard. They're on the defensive. Ruby actually going up uncontested top side. He's going to be pinged out here. It seems like they're kind of just committing to the 4-1 life.
Yeah, this is something that I've noted from Ruby and his builds, is that he is just a straight death cap builder. Like, a huge point about mages being sort of non-relevant in this meta has been the fact that a lot of them have to go for mana items, a lot of them have to go for utility, but Ruby not about that life. Ruby about hard carrying, so he's just going to go straight death cap. We'll see if that pays off. He does have a lot of damage compared to someone like Mission, who's going for Zhonya's first. But, you know, the real thing is just the scoreline on Lil V at this point. 3-0. He's got crit going, he's got collector. Exactly.
We're just waiting for that Aphelios. It's the 200 years comp. And it will take maybe 200 years before it gets going, but, you know, start your timers, because J-Team have just been playing for that late game.
Yeah, 200 years really isn't much, you know. If you think about
in the
human
grand
history,
scheme of things, no.
yeah, like we went from the Enlightenment to going to the moon and internet and stuff like that in 300 years. So
That's true. So what you're saying is Riot really needed to put more people on Aphelios when they developed him.
I'm trying to think if they put more people on Aphelios, would Aphelios have ended up being more complex or simpler? Because I think we can agree that he should have been simpler.
That's a really good question, actually. I feel like it depends on the people. I'm not a balance designer, so... Oh, man, this Chaos Storm is... it's starting to hurt a little bit. You know, we've been talking up the Aphelios, but Victor is also a champion in this game.
I like how Ruby is trying to play the assassin bird, but look at his pathing. He's just like, oh wait, I actually can't side lane push anymore.
And now they're going to get just chunked out. Rocky goes a little deep, tries to get an execution, but Woody even manages to live through it. Oh dear. Yeah, Ruby just stealth backing. Oh wait a minute. I thought maybe he found something, but nope, he just threw up a sand soldier.
Oh, this is so weird from Boom Esports, honestly. Like, the line of play that they have decided to do is basically saying that they are going to hard force Ruby to get his Void Staff, and they are going to put all of the eggs into the Emperor of Shurima. Like, that is literally their win condition. They have just sacked 2 towers and a Death and a Drake for Ruby to pick up, like, 2 waves. So,
It's,
I hope
it's a bold strategy. It's a bold strategy, Clement. We'll see if it pays off for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is getting desperate for Boom. You know, they won't be eliminated from playoffs if they lose here today, but they will drop into a lower bracket. That happens, and oof.
It feels like the experiment, like having a chimpanzee just pick the stock for you and just throwing a dart out and just see like, oh, you know, maybe we'll think, oh, this ROI is really good. I'm not sure about it in this case. I actually feel like they're giving up way too much.
Yeah, and it's just the decision making is kind of baffling in some points. It's hard forcing on instances like this. Rest is maybe going to go down, but it buys enough time for the rest of the team to arrive. And no, he's totally fine. Okay, Ruby is on the scene, but he gets pulled in on the hook. Goes golden. Maybe that buys time for a little bit of his team to go forward, and the pushback doesn't find anybody. Hana is able to take him down. And now it's just an absolute mess. Get the yakety sacks out here as the Chaos Storm comes around the side. Wako maybe kills one there in Woody, but J-Team just clean up.
J-Team play a 5v4 and they absolutely decimate Boom Esports. We've been talking about Ruby trying to get the farm up, trying to be the hard carry. He goes in, doesn't flash, and misses everyone. Oh, I'm so
I think this is going to end right here, Clement.
It is. It's going to be a 4v2. Wako's the only one left that can stem the tide.
And they're going to get the barrels on. Pop, Wako trying desperately to keep them alive, but it looks like Boom will be destined for the lower bracket. J-Team are moving on next. They have a date with PSG as they take the series 2-1.
I just hate being right. I hate being right. I predicted J-Team was going to go through 2-1. And in the last game, they get the most boring draft composition ever. They just sit back and watch Boom Esports desperately try to hang themselves. And unfortunately for Boom, I just feel like they didn't get enough out of Ruby, like in these team fights. No, they traded a lot of map pressure for that Azir to get fed, to get going. And in the final team fight, he doesn't even hit a target. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. You know, like unfortunately, they put a lot of faith in Ruby to try and set up the plays, but, you know, when a player puts on his backpack, you got to hope he's going to be able to carry everyone around in it. The problem is Ruby's had a massive hole in the bottom, and everybody fell out, including all of his skill shots.
Yeah, it definitely didn't take the backpack with the parachute, unfortunately, there. And in that team fight, Mission didn't even TP towards the team fight. Mission TP toward the top lane, and this is like Boom Esports. This is our time to shine. Let's go. 5v4. We're rushing this.
It was just so many misfires. It was so weird. Like it felt like Boom. Like they ran out of fuel after game 1, and then just were running around like headless chickens. It was very strange.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like, you know the saying about ships passing in the night and they don't even hit each other, but somehow they're like 90% past each other, and then the rotors get entangled and they both go down. into a whirlpool. It kind of felt like
that was game 3, basically.
Yeah, it was so weird to watch.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there for sure. That was a little bizarre. So Boom Esports, after a really solid victory in game number 1, it gets turned around on them. J-Team go through. Clement, congratulations. You are the big brain, as your prediction is true.
Nostradamus.
You managed to pull it off. Now J-Team go against PSG in the next round. That's going to be very tough. We've talked about how they have struggled against these elite top teams, and PSG is the cream of the crop. So they're going to have to level up a little bit to make that one more competitive. But on the flip side, our next matchup in the bottom of the bracket is going to feature Liab taking on Boom. I feel like that's going to be a game that's going to be a series that's going to be a lot more explosive than this one was, considering how much of a slow burn it turned out to be.
Yeah, definitely. I think Liab is very different from J-Team in terms of their temperament. They're all about rushing in, getting those kills onto the back line, much more proactive. And if you think about J-Team, like in a situation like that, where Mission doesn't even teleport to the team fight, can you honestly tell me that PSG would not have won that team fight? I don't think that's even possible. Like, I feel like PSG would just come in and wipe the floor with you if you do a mistake like that. So.
Yeah, it's there were definitely like things to nitpick and like J-Team definitely I think maybe got lulled into a false sense of security, but in a game like this it didn't matter. They were able to just paint by numbers and eventually snowball to victory. The Gangplank doing the most damage, but I think given enough time that Aphelios would have really started opening up, and it just was better fights, better positioning, kind of almost by default because Boom made a lot of weird choices.
Yeah, I think Boom Esports, they do not factor in tower dive potential when they're drafting their compositions. They're not a team that really learns how to overload. So sometimes when teams turtle up, they don't respond well. They were behind on tempo, behind in kills, and congratulations towards Woody for getting another MVP.
After game 1, very questionable performance. He comes back in and he shuts up the haters with 2 MVPs in a row. Yeah, I mean, he did exactly what he needed to this game, right? Like, he was able to set up, the hooks weren't necessarily, like, flashy or anything, but he was able to trap in certain choke points and cutoffs and chases down the lanes. Really good use of the box this game. Definitely give him credit. It was a far cry from game number 1.
And this is definitely what we've seen from Woody. When he is playing more aggressively, I think he showcases more potential, and in this game there was a lot of situations when they were sieging, they throw the pillar down, and there's this kind of a kill zone where the enemy just willingly walks into his death sentence for him to get pick off. So very well done, and congratulations to J-Team for moving mountain.
Yeah, I think they had a split where we were wondering if this team was going to struggle because they had been dropping out of the top 4. They were sort of our gatekeepers of the top half of the table. But, they come up, they get the 2-1 victory over Boom, and they had to be feeling happy about that. I think we might hear from them because we do have an interview over. So go ahead and take it away, Ririchu.